Good evening and welcome to the March 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We will start with prayer and pledge. Phil will lead us in prayer.
All right, God, would me please. Father, we thank you for the town of Smyrna, and we thank you for your continual blessings over our leadership, staff, our first responders, and our residents, and we ask for your guidance during our discussions here today. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll pass the book.
You keep going. You called me for Thank you, fellas. Sorry I'm late.
You're fine.
I was actually just in the other room. I just didn't realize it was 5 o'clock. I think we've handled items 1 and 2 on the agenda, so we'll move to number 3, citizen comments.
None at this time.
None at this time. Item 4 is approval of the minutes from our February meeting, which should be in your packets. Any adjustments or corrections?
No.
All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented in the packet. Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. We have 2 items for new business tonight, a sign variance and special exception. We'll start with the sign variance for Michael Strobel.
This is a sign variance for a subdivision entrance sign within a subdivision containing less than 36 dwelling units. The applicant has requested a sign variance to place a subdivision entrance sign at the main entrance to a subdivision which contains 22 single-family residential lots. Chapter 4, Section B1 of the sign ordinance states signs may be permitted at the main entrances to a subdivision containing at least 36 dwelling units. Saddle Grove subdivision is currently under construction. About half of those lots have had building permits applied for at this time. The developer has submitted for a sign permit for the entrance sign for this development. Chapter 9, Section F2 of the sign ordinance lists criteria that must be considered by the board when evaluating a variance request. For an action granting a variance, the board shall state the provisions being varied and shall grant the minimum variance to satisfy the relief of hardship and shall state the specific hardship which justifies the variance. The board shall not grant a variance unless it makes findings based upon evidence presented as follows. The particular surroundings, shape, or topographic conditions upon the specific property involved would result in an exceptional hardship upon the owner is distinguished from a mere inconvenience. Staff finds that there is no distinct hardship present to the property in regards to the surrounding shape or topographic conditions. The conditions upon which the petition for a variance is based would not be applicable to other similarly situated properties. Other residentially zoned subdivisions adjacent to the subject property contain greater than 36 dwelling units. The hardship has not been created by any person having interest in the property. The applicant is the developer of the subdivision. Financial returns should not be considered as a basis for granting a variance. The property owner has not identified financial returns as a reason for requesting the variance, though marketing the development is one of the reasons to request a sign. The variance will not be detrimental to public welfare, injurious to other property or improvements, or intent and spirit of the ordinance. The variance would not have any of the above effects, as the sign would be positioned on open space managed by the HOA and meeting all other requirements set forth in the ordinance pertaining to the size and location on the parcel. The variance does not confer on special privilege to the applicant that is denied to others. Staff finds that the subdivision entrance signs are allowed per the sign ordinance. However, it restricts the subdivision size as to whether the subdivision is allowed to have an entrance sign. Staff finds in conclusion, staff finds there is no physical hardship with the lay of the land with this request. The applicant is requesting a variance on the minimum required amount of dwelling units within a subdivision to permit for an entrance sign. Other subdivisions within the vicinity of the requested subdivision contain greater than 36 dwelling units, and several of those subdivisions have signage. The signage as proposed does meet the sign ordinance requirements for its size and location. This 36 number in the ordinance has been in there for 26 years roughly. It's just never been a problem in the past. Typically, you have subdivisions greater than 36, hence it's never really been an issue. So that is why we do have that request here tonight for you. Just a couple pictures of the site. So this is all common area. I believe this is also detention up here, so it's common space, but the sign would be located in that general vicinity. Just another closer up location of where that would be at. Rendering of what is proposed for the sign. I've highlighted this box right here, so I was working with the applicant to try to figure out the exact location for that sign to be located to meet all other requirements of the ordinance for the location and size. And that location that is highlighted here would meet all those other requirements. This is an aerial view showing the general area of where the subdivision is. So this is the subdivision right here outlined. As you can see, all these other subdivisions in the area do contain over 36 dwelling units. So all of these subdivisions, if they would like to, if they don't already have a subdivision entrance sign, would be permitted to do so. But this applicant is just hung up on the fact that 36 is that minimum threshold to have a subdivision entrance sign. So like I said, they do have 22 single-family lots in this subdivision, so just under that threshold.
Okay. Any questions for Mitch or discussion before we open up a public hearing?
What I'd ask, has anybody called in or said anything about this, for and against? Did the public have any opinion on this at all?
No, I mean, it's a currently developing piece of property. I mean, it's all up and down Rocky Fork Hummel Road, you got entrance signs lining, so it's nothing really out of the ordinary.
Jeff, do you have any history or knowledge on the number of 36 and?
Kevin might be able to tell you better than I, because I never had
I mean,
dealt with
it
that.
just kind of seems like a shot in the dark, but I'm assuming there's some logic there. I'd just love to know what it is.
Actually, I can't really answer. It actually predates my time here, and I've been here a long time, so that tells you how long it's been there. Yeah, it was here, I know that the council adopted a new sign ordinance in 1998, and that was, so it's been there at least since 1998. I don't, it may even predates that. I don't know what the rule, why 36, I don't know. We've talked a little bit internally, maybe we need to change that, because it is kind of an odd, very specific number, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I was like, if I had 35, how is that different than 36? You know, I
Exactly.
don't really understand.
Yeah, I understand there needs to be a minimum, because you don't want every little 2 or 3 lot subdivision having a sign.
Yeah, but I can think of at least one piece of property that's in city limits that has 2 houses on it, and they have a sign. And so I know that there's some out there. They
Yeah.
probably didn't do a sign request, they just stuck it up, but, you know, I just know there's a
Something like
case.
that, but- So I mean, I think there probably needs to be a number, maybe it should be 10 or 20, I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other side of this is the first time I think we've ever had to deal with this
Correct.
in the 8-10 years I've been on this
well,
board.
it's the first time, I think, in my
but-
time here, that's the only time I've ever.
Yeah.
We've had sign variance requests for residential signs that are maybe taller or something like that, or a setback variance, but nothing as far as the number of units. So,
Gotcha,
yeah.
okay. I just wondered if there was a logic that I wasn't
Yeah.
seeing, so, okay,
Right.
perfect, thank you. At this time, we will close the Board of Zoning Appeals and open a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak for or against this request. If you'd like to speak, state your name and your address for the record, please.
Mike Strobel, 5029 Evangeline. I'm in Knowlesville, but I'm the developer on this one. You know, I was kind of surprised by the 36 number. I wasn't aware of it until Mitchell brought it to our attention, and he was helpful with us getting this application submitted. It is a smaller community, so we did go with a smaller monument sign and try to keep it in line with all the others in kind of that Rocky Fork, Almaville corridor. You know, we're a home builder. We kind of want to give our homeowners some differentiation to the other communities, and that's really the purpose of it. And we try to keep it to the other requirements of the city within the open space, and work with Mitchell to kind of get it out far enough out of the right of way to meet your guys' requirements.
Perfect. I think it's a good-looking sign. I think it's a good design, and, you know, a sign, I live in a subdivision that only has about 75 or 80 homes, and, you know, it does create a community, a little bit of a sense of community. We all live in Cobblestone, you know, we have our own Facebook page and that kind of thing. And I think that even though it's just a sign, the sign does kind of help create that community. So I can see the value there. So I don't have any questions. Anybody?
I just wanted just to comment, Mike, thanks for doing this and coming. It's so helpful when you come beforehand and we work it out together, and then when you do your sign, it's
Yep.
going to be the right. Thank you
Yeah.
for doing that.
No, I
Because with
appreciate
all
it.
the growth we have, the more we can do things up front. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No, Mitchell's been a great help.
All right, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against? Not seeing any, we'll close the public hearing and reopen the Board of Zoning Appeals for discussion and motion.
I'm going to move for its approval.
All right. We need to put anything else in there? Probably not. I mean, it'll have to meet the rest of the signed ordinances requirements, right? As far as right of way and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because we're only approving having the sign there. You have to make sure he
I think
follows
you
all
said
their
it meets
ordinances.
it meets the requirements of the sign ordinance, correct?
Yeah, and I've worked with the
Already worked
applicant
through
to ensure it does meet all our requirements, so really it's just a variance from the 36 minimum requirement for subdivision.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the request for the variance from 36 to, I guess, in this case, 22. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just curious, so about approving this, are we opening the door?
Every case stands on its own.
Every case stands on its own, okay. So the city can look at something after the fact? and
Sure,
change
yeah,
it?
they can always now.
Okay.
It may become a moot point if they decide to do a smaller number.
Right.
Decide to change it.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? No? All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, sign, I guess it's a sign
Variance.
variance is approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Next item on our agenda is a special exception for Cutler Capley, Long Rifle Road. And this is a secondary accessory dwelling, I believe.
Yep. This is a request for a special exception to allow a detached accessory apartment at 111 Long Rifle Road. Property zoned R1, low density residential, just over 1 acre in size. The applicant wishes to build a second dwelling for familial purposes. The proposed structure will be located behind the principal structure, approximately 270 feet off of the front property line and approximately 12 feet from the northern property line. The structure would be 20 feet by 24 feet, which is 480 square feet in size, and the maximum detached accessory square footage for a lot over 1 acre of this size is 1,200 square feet, so well within the detached square footage accessory limit. Section 7.060B of the zoning ordinance detail requirements for authorizing special exceptions. These are detailed below. Section 7.060 of the municipal zoning ordinance lists general requirements for a zoning variance request. Those requirements and staff findings are as follows. A conditional use special exception shall be provided the board finds that it is so designed, located, and proposed to be operated so the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. Staff finds that the proposed use of an accessory apartment would not negatively affect the health, safety, and welfare of the public, would not adversely affect other property in the area. Staff finds that the proposed use should not adversely affect other properties in the surrounding area. Is it within provisions of special exceptions as set forth in the ordinance? Section 5.051.1C lists accessory apartment as a special exception within this district. Conforms to all applicable provisions of this ordinance for the district in which it is to be located, as well as provisions cited in section 7.060 and 7.061 as is necessary for public convenience in the location plan. Staff finds that this site may be able to conform to all provisions of the municipal zoning ordinance as listed in criteria review section 7.060C. Criteria for review: ingress and egress to the property. Access to the site would utilize the existing driveway off of Long Rifle Road. Off-street parking and loading were required. Staff finds that the lot would provide sufficient space for off-street parking due to the size of the lot and driveway length, which is over 100 feet in length. Refuse and service areas. Refuse collection would proceed in the same manner as currently. Utilities with reference to location, availability, and compatibility. This location does have access to water through CUD and gas, but the existing residence is serviced by a septic system. Sewer is located in the rear of the property. If the applicant would like to service the additional structure via a septic system, the applicant will need to coordinate with a TDEC environmental office to ensure the existing septic system can support the additional living space, or if a separate septic system will be needed. Screening and buffering, not as applicable in this case. Signs, if any, proposed exterior lighting with reference to glare, traffic, safety, economic effect, and compatibility and harmony with properties in the district. Staff finds that the proposed accessory dwelling unit should fit compatibility on properties with the same district in reference to both effects. Required yard and other open space. Staff finds that this yard has the necessary yard and open space to meet setback requirements. General compatibility with adjacent properties. Staff finds that the use may be compatible with adjacent properties due to other lots in the subdivision having been previously approved by the BZA for accessory apartments. And number 9 is not applicable in this case. In conclusion, staff finds that this lot provides sufficient space to allow for the accessory apartment. If approved, staff recommends A, putting a condition on the request that the applicant will be required to pay all applicable fees associated with the accessory dwelling unit, including but not limited to the Rutherford County Development Tax, Town of Smyrna impact fees, code inspection fees, etc. B, adding a condition that the building not be used for rental purposes. And C, the applicant to provide a letter of approval from TDEC before applying for a building permit if the new structure is to utilize a septic system. So this is a picture of the main house looking from Long Rifle Road. So you can see driveway length that they currently have on the property today. This is a picture from the other side of the lot. It is a long, narrow lot. So as you can see here, this is an approximate location that staff was provided with from the applicant for an approximate location of where that structure should be located at. This is what I was referencing earlier with utilities. You do have a sewer main in the back of the property. You got gas up here, and you also got water. So all those utilities are available if they so choose to access them upon building.
All right. Any questions or discussion for Mitch before we go to public hearing? All right, at this time, we'll close the Board of Zoning Appeals, reopen a public hearing or open a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak for or against. I'm not seeing anyone in the room except staff. I would assume none of you want to speak. All right, we'll close the public hearing and reopen the Board of Zoning Appeals for discussion. I think this is in line with some of the others that we've recently approved. It's well below the square footage requirements for accessory structure. I was actually thinking I think my garage is larger, my detached garage is larger, so it's pretty small. The lot's got plenty of space and size. Honestly, it's kind of convenient to have that sewer main right back there. I probably wouldn't go the septic route. I'd probably want to be on that sewer main, but that's pretty fortuitous, its location. It's right across the back of his property. So I don't personally have or see any concerns. Anybody else, anything? All right. If not, we'll entertain a motion. Any motion needs to include the staff recommendations. Any motion for approval, I should say. Scott? Jay? Phil? Vanessa?
I'll make a motion to approve with the following conditions on the request that the applicant will be required to pay all applicable fees, that we will also add a condition that the building not be used for rental purposes, and that the applicant will also provide a letter of approval from TDEC before applying for building permits.
All right, we have a motion to approve with staff recommendations that have been outlined. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The special exception is approved. Number 6 is staff comments or other business. Anything, Mitch?
I'm all good tonight.
All right, then we will stand adjourned.
I had something.
Oh,
We were promised chips by one of our fellow chairmen, and I
I
was
would like
just
to
wondering where we
protest
stand
staff
on this.
comments number 6 because I did forget to bring snacks. But thank you, Scott, for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
It's a
It's on the record
non-agenda
now.
item.
It's now officially on the record. Thank you, Phil.
Now we're adjourned. Hey, he did shave the beard.
Yes,